I ruined my family dinner party in the worst way possible, and I'm so ashamed. IA19M ruined my yearly family dinner party. Every year, my entire family gets together to go to a nice restaurant. It's only for the adults, so this was the second one I've gone to. We do this because everything gets hectic around the holidays and during the school year, so everyone has trouble making it to holiday celebrations during that part of the year. Because of this, we hold it during the summer. We went a little later this year, though, because my uncle was sick in the hospital for a while, but he's better now. Everyone still made it, including him, and things went on as normal. Now, a week before the party, I started getting kind of sick. Stomach pain, fatigue, all that stuff. I assumed it was a stomach bug, but I wasn't throwing up or anything. I came to the conclusion that I had E. coli after I watched the news and saw it was spreading in my area. I did have all the symptoms after all, not to be too graphic, but I was using the restroom quite often. It was more annoying than anything else. It got a bit scary when I saw some red, but I made sure to stay hydrated. After the continuous rounds to propel all the contents from my bowels, I thought I'd had it all expelled by the date of the dinner. The morning of I was feeling fine. My stomach was still rumbling, but nothing was coming out of me. I didn't want to miss the party, as I had a few cousins I hadn't seen since last year, and I wanted to catch up with them. You also never know when it'll be the last time you see a family member, and my grandparents were in their late 80s by this point. I decided I was fine and went anyway. Once I got there, I was greeted by all my relatives. I got the usual comments from my older relatives. "Look how big you've gotten. Do you have a girlfriend yet? How's college going?" And I answered all of them, no matter how many times they were asked over and over again. My stomach was rumbling harder, so I subtly rushed everyone to get seated so I could sit down and pray my stomach would settle. At first, everything went great for the most part. We all laughed and smiled and caught up with each other. I, on the other hand, was hunched over, chugging water, trying desperately to do something about my stomach. I excused myself to the bathroom at least 4 times before the food arrived. My mom asked if I was all right, so I faked a smile on my face. Then the food arrived. My grandpa stood up and lifted his glass. This was our tradition, to have a toast before we ate. He said, "I raise this glass in honor of us all making it here tonight, especially Ralph, who has his little scare over the summer. I raise it for Mary, who is still eating with us in spirit. I raise it for Louis and Patty, who may have passed before this tradition started, but will always be part of it. And I raise it to Anthony, who is joining us here for the first year. Cheers." After he was done, everyone stood up to clink our glasses together. My mom saw me hesitate to stand, so she pulled my arm to lift me up. Once I stood, the loudest, raunchy, vomit-inducing sound left my body. Everyone stared at me in shock, but none of them were as shocked as me. My light blue jeans suddenly had a liquid leaking from them, both from out of the pant legs and through the seams. The moisture squelched against my bottom. Even the tables around us stared. The people sitting at the table behind me began gagging as they saw what was leaking from me. I think even a middle-aged woman fainted. All I could say was, "Excuse me for a moment," and I ran to the bathroom so quickly I could have beat Usain Bolt. Every step I took mushed the foul bowel explosion against my cheeks, causing a squeaking sound with each step. The only comparison I can make is that I sounded like Squidward sulking his way to work. It was in my shoes at this point. I rushed into a stall and tried to use toilet paper to clean myself up. The sink would have been easier, but I was too embarrassed, and I needed to remove my clothes, not a sight anyone would want or need to see. My mom called me to ask if I was okay, and I lied and said I was fine. She said my dad had a change of clothes in the car that I could use. I said yes, and he brought them in 10 minutes later. They were his gym clothes he wore this morning and forgot to take out of the car. I put them on anyway, because the smell of sweat was nothing compared to the stench of the soup I had cooked up. Once I changed and came back out, nobody could make eye contact with me. It didn't matter anyway, because I tried keeping my head down. We all left with an awkward exchange of goodbyes, and I just cried in my car on the way back to my college dorm. I was extremely thankful to see that my roommate wasn't there, so he didn't have to smell the after effects of the fecal flow.